What if I told you that one of the oldest texts about the final judgment, read by Jews, known by the first Christians, and even quoted inside the Bible itself, was removed? Not because it was false, not because it was heresy, but because it said too much. Because it explained the origin of evil in a way no one dared to explain again. Because it spoke of fallen angels, of giants who destroyed the earth, and of a judgment that would not begin with humanity, but with the heavens themselves. That book existed. It survived for centuries, and today, almost no one talks about it. Its name is the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch did not appear on the internet. It was not discovered by modern conspiracy theories. It circulated freely among Jews centuries before Jesus was born. We're talking about a text written between 300 and 100 BC, long before Christianity, long before the church. It was read during the time of the Second Temple, the same era as John the Baptist, the same era as Jesus. In other words, when Jesus walked the streets of Judea, the Book of Enoch was already known. It was not strange, it was not hidden, it was respected. And this is where the first dangerous question arises. How could a book so ancient, so influential, and so well known, disappear from the Bible? Before we go further, if you enjoy content that doesn't repeat the obvious, that explores what was forgotten, removed, or silenced, subscribe to the channel now, because what comes next is rarely explained in churches, textbooks, or traditional teachings. Now, let's get to the disturbing part. The Bible briefly mentions something strange in Genesis chapter 6. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and then it stops. No explanation, no details. The Book of Enoch does not stop. According to Enoch, these sons of God were angels known as the Watchers, celestial beings sent to observe humanity. But they descended, they disobeyed, and they interfered directly with the human world. They taught forbidden knowledge, weapon making, sorcery, astrology, spiritual manipulation, knowledge that, according to the text, humans were not ready to receive. And then, they crossed a line that was never meant to be crossed. From the union between these angels and human women came the Nephilim giants, violent beings, described as devourers of the earth. The text says they consumed everything, destroyed cities, and completely corrupted creation. According to Enoch, the world was not destroyed by the flood only because of human sin, but because creation itself had been genetically and spiritually corrupted. That explanation changes everything. It shifts the origin of evil. It challenges responsibility. It points to something beyond humanity. And maybe that was too dangerous. Here is the most shocking part. In the Book of Enoch, the final judgment does not begin with humans. It begins with angels. The Watchers are imprisoned, cast into abysses, and held until judgment. Does that sound familiar? Because ideas like angels in chains, celestial judgment, and the Son of Man as a divine judge appear later in the Gospels, in the letters, and in Revelation. The Book of Jude even quotes Enoch directly, not as legend, not as metaphor, but as prophecy. So why was it removed? Here is where history enters, not mysticism. Between the 4th and 5th centuries, the church needed doctrinal unity. The Book of Enoch posed problems, authorship attributed to a pre-flood figure, complex theology, detailed spiritual hierarchies, and explanations that escaped institutional control. It was not declared false, it was considered dangerous, edifying, but not canonical, important, but inconvenient. So it was excluded from the Western Bible, but it was never destroyed. To this day, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church keeps the Book of Enoch in its biblical canon. That proves something crucial. It was not removed because it was a lie. It was set aside by historical and theological decisions. And now, the final question. If a book so ancient, so influential, so frequently referenced was removed not because it was false, but because it was dangerous, what else was left out? How many pieces of humanity's spiritual history were abandoned to maintain a narrative that could be controlled? Maybe the final judgment is not only a future event. Maybe it begins when forgotten truths resurface. If this video made you question something, if it pulled you out of your comfort zone, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share it with someone who thinks they already know everything about the Bible. Because here, we don't repeat what everyone has already heard. We explore what was forgotten.